Is it really possible for your average Magic the Gathering player to reach Mythic without spending a single penny? Today, we're going to put that to the test, starting with a fresh account and grinding the ranked ladder to see how many games it takes to reach the coveted Mythic rank. Hello everybody, my name is AJ and welcome to day number 15 of the free-to-play to Mythic Challenge. Yesterday we went on a phenomenal win streak to get us just 2 wins away from reaching Diamond Tier 4. There's not much to say about today's climb, other than obviously we're going to do our very best to reach Diamond and continue on that climb to Mythic. Without further ado, let's get into the deck list and then hop right into the ranked ladder. Here is the deck list that we're going to be running for today. Now, I elected to remove the Ice Explorer for 2 Shelter by Ghosts, adding in a Plains for one of the forests. This is a change to the deck that I haven't seen a lot of people use, and so it's very possible that it makes the deck bricky and not quite as powerful. But, as mentioned in the last episode, I've never been truly excited to see Ice Explorer as a card. I've never looked at Ice Explorer and said, wow, I'm so happy to see that. Shelter by Ghost, I think, has saved us in a lot of aggro matchups and really gives us the opportunity to come back in a lot of matchups where we normally wouldn't have that ability. And I think even having just a couple pieces of removal is definitely a positive for the deck. So we'll definitely see how it works for our climb today. Without further ado, let's get right into the ranked ladder. Here we are in game number 1, on the draw with a hand that I would love to keep, but I think is just a little bit too slow for being on the draw. We, unfortunately, with only having 2 tap lands, if this Llanowar Elves dies, we have no real way of getting to our bigger creatures, and only 2 lands as well for Terrasymbiosis, and the Hydra is not the most exciting. I think going to 6 on the first hand is the right choice. This is another hand that, to be honest, I'm not very excited about. Tifa is okay, but she needs a lot of supporting cast to make her work. We have no red for Worldsouls, and I don't think this Llanowar Elves helps us. It's definitely unfortunate, but I think we might be going to 5 for the first time in this series. And this is also not a very good hand, but I don't think we can ever go to 4. So I think all we can do is put a Traveling Chocobo and perhaps both Traveling Chocobos at the bottom. They'll be shuffled back into the deck right away with our Fabled Passage, so it's not like we'll never see them, but I think we need to have the Chocobo and Bristly Bill, and perhaps setting Defend the Rider away was the better choice. I think that especially going to 5, using a card for protection definitely can hurt us. And we're going to be a card behind our opponent even on the draw. But let's see. Against some kind of mono black. Well, I suppose I shouldn't say mono, but some kind of black-based deck. Lots of removals, so feel a little bit better about keeping Defend the Rider. Deep Cavern Bat is tough. That's a really, really tough card to see, especially when we have to mull, really at all, but mulling twice into a Deep Cavern Bat is definitely unfortunate, to say the least. And them taking the Defend the Rider almost guarantees that they have some kind of removal in the hand. So I think the right choice is to Sazh's Chocobo. And then I suppose get the forest out for Bristly Bill is probably the right choice. If they spend their removal on the Chocobo, that's not great. Obviously would prefer they didn't have removal, but assuming they have it, them getting rid of the Chocobo I think is okay. Better than getting rid of Bill at least. The Elves is definitely not my first choice, but I will get the Chocobo to at least have 3 power. And we'll just keep this Fabled Passage up. Definitely going to have to claw our way back from this one. That's definitely a struggle. I think probably getting rid of the Chocobo is better. Yes, Bill probably dies, but bar another strategic betrayal, would have been better to keep around. Be a lot of damage from that slasher, unfortunately. Well, we will grab our white mana in case we top deck a Shelter by Ghosts, Llanowar Elves, and that is potentially useful. Scavenging Ooze is a decent card. There's no creatures in either graveyard, so we might as well just drop a Llanowar Elves. And then Fabled Passage in case we need the green mana for the Ooze, but suppose we need to take this here. Not much point in chump blocking just yet. Let's see. Now, Worldsoul's Rage is not a bad card. We can find a red mana. We can at least clear the Deep Cavern Bat. We might as well get both our Fabled Passages back. It's not the worst top deck in the world. At the very least, it does build us a little bit of a longer clock. Not having to deal with that flyer is great, and we do have Defend the Rider mana up now. I would like to use the Ooze to block and then steal the Slasher from the graveyard. We can always just exile it from the graveyard with the Ooze if we Defend the Rider on top of it, so I think we will wait, we'll block with the Elves and have the Ooze steal the Bat afterward. Not that, sorry. We'll want to take the Bat, get the Ooze big enough to kill the Slasher. And we can use Defend the Rider as a pseudo-permanent kill spell for it. Keeping our Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, keeping our Scavenging Ooze indestructible. So I suppose that's probably the best choice, is to just wait and try and block the Slasher. They don't know we have the second Defend the Rider, so we can block the Soulstone Sanctuary as well, but again, that's a temporary fix. It does not answer our problem. See what they declare an attacker with before we declare blockers. So we'll make the 1/1. Now we can give our Ooze hexproof and indestructible. Now there's merit here to potentially... No, we need to clear the Soulstone Sanctuary while we can. We can grab green mana with the Fabled Passage and Scavenging Ooze to take that Slasher, and then it will be big enough to give the Sanctuary. I was thinking maybe we get rid of the Sanctuary instead of the Slasher, but the Sanctuary can be blocked at basically any time. And I suppose that's the best we can do here. Bill is, I think, a great card to find. Love having Fabled Passage with Bill. Scavenging Ooze can steal the Llanowar Elves for at least a life if they're able to clear both. Okay. Bat for nothing is okay with me. And in our end step, we will exile our elves, get a little bit of life, potentially give us a chance to come back in this game. Elves at the very least is a pretty good chump blocker. I will attest to that. I think we should Fabled Passage, give Bill a counter. We can drop our Llanowar Elves. Gives us a great target for the Strategic Betrayal, and at least gives us another blocker on the ground for the Sanctuary. And then I suppose we... Interesting. I would be willing to trade Bill for the Bat and the Sanctuary. Swing with the Ooze is risky, but if they have a kill spell, they could just kill the Ooze. Because if they then kill spell Bill, I have to block with the Elves. I think swinging with the Ooze is the right choice, because Bill can double himself at instant speed to be a blocker for the Sanctuary. Potentially our opponent doesn't see that. That would be great to be able to trip them up with, and I think I'm willing to lose out on the 3 damage for that possibility. I think in high platinum, I think I win more games off our opponent not realizing that than we do off the 3 extra damage. I'm not seeing many lines where that 3 damage matters extensively. They don't, which is it's great for them. Puts us on a 5-turn clock, bar any removal, getting life from the Scavenging Ooze. Wonder what card is in their hand. Now here we will... I suppose the best choice is to put a counter on the Elves. Let's widen our board as much as we can. And I think I'm in the same boat here, except this time I will double the Ooze on no blockers. Get in for a little bit more damage. And we should be able to force them to lose next turn, depending on what cards they have available to them. See what that last card in hand is. That is an exhilarating game 1. To be completely honest, did not think we were winning that for the first, I don't know, 5 turns. I honestly didn't think we were winning that until like a turn ago, that we even had a chance. What an awesome way to come back from 5, especially into a removal heavy matchup. Really, really lucky top text. I'll be the first to attest to that. But that's a great start to the climb, and just gets us 1 game away from reaching Diamond. Okay, here we are on the play with a similar hand as the first one of last time. However, I think with at least having 1 untapped mana, I feel a lot better. Can Escape Tunnel for white, then Forest right away for a turn 2 play, and hopefully within 2 draws we'll find a land. I think we're on 26 lands in this deck, so that should be a decent chance to find it. If not, bar removal, we do have a Shelter by Ghosts turn 3. Now typically I would wait on this Escape Tunnel, but honestly I don't hate the idea of dropping it now. Potentially makes our opponent think we're not on mono green when we are. Some may see that and say, okay, they're running Shelter by Ghosts, but potentially could make them make different choices. If they are playing mono green, again, I feel much better about this hand. It is really nice to not have to worry about much removal. I think that's why I like the Shelter by Ghost so much, is in the mirror match is just sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not going to get removed. is A, it's a really comfortable feeling, but I feel like I make different plays because of it. I think having removal in our back pocket, especially for the mirror, can definitely be helpful. But we'll see how the Shelter by Ghost helps us this game. And I think, to be honest, without the fetch lands, I think, or with how many fetch lands we're running, I don't think the other color will be a significant problem for us. Here we could run Scavenging Ooze, but honestly I like the idea of Shelter by Ghosts, so that A, we can swing with Tifa, put a little bit of pressure in, it gives us a double on her roughly, and it also gets that giant threat Bristly Bill out of here. Still waiting on one more land. But they hopefully should not have a way to get that Bristly Bill back. So we should be able to have lifelink essentially for the rest of the game. Second Bristly Bill in hand is definitely tough. That is the fourth Tifa Lockhart. That is, we'll say, unfortunate at the very least, but not the end of the world. Again, hopefully we find a land here soon. We should have 23 in the 49 cards left in the deck. Not drawing the 2 Tifas in a row would have been great for us, but we still hopefully can find a land within the next couple turns. Springbloom Druid is a great card. Great way to ramp and get some triggers on your creatures that you already have. I think it is a little bit win more card. You need to have a doubler already, and I think there are better options for ramp. That is the one card I was really hoping not to see, to be completely honest. It's not that great, especially when we don't have the red mana, so that means we need a fetch land now specifically to even be able to cast that. Definitely disappointed with our draws here, but after last game cannot complain about any statistical anomalies. Sure, I think the right choice is just to take this. I mean, we can swing with Tifa next turn unless they have a land in hand they haven't dropped yet. Interesting. That is great. That does let Tifa give us a big chunk of life back at the very least. And while unfortunately it will not be untapped, it is at least a third mana for us. So we can put something in next turn. I would really love if it was untapped mana, so we could Worldsoul's Rage away that Hydra before it becomes a real problem. Bar, of course, the Defend the Rider I think they have in hand. Been holding up that 1 mana and interaction as well pretty consistently. I think red mana is fine to get here. I don't think we'll need the second green pip for much. So we should be okay to grab our red mana and then push in for a little bit of life, hopefully give us a bit of a buffer. We just pass, see what our opponent does. With 5 mana, it opens up a lot of possibilities for them. They definitely have the opportunity to get some doubles on the Hydra. Springbloom the Druid is effectively a fetch land for them, so their Hydra will get to 12. They still can land drop as well. But hopefully we have enough of a buffer. Okay. I think... Why does the Scavenging Ooze rip their Fabled Passage away? I suppose we should have been doing this the whole time. Steal some of the lands from the grave. I don't know if there's any top decks that truly help us very much here. A fetch land is not it. Perhaps a Traveling Chocobo into a fetch land? That might be our best case scenario, is if we Traveling Chocobo into a Fabled Passage off the top, into maybe a small Chocobo. That, unfortunately, is not it at all. Worldsoul's Rage, unfortunately, can only give us one land drop, especially with being a fetch land that doesn't accomplish very much. We don't have a great way to deal with that Mossborn Hydra. So I suppose the best choice might be to just... I mean, I assume they have no land in hand, that's why the Hydra hasn't swung yet. If they have another doubler, they win. And I have no way to stop that, so I think the best choice is to Terrasymbiosis, or perhaps Mossborn Hydra. Yeah, I think Mossborn Hydra, in case they don't have it. If they don't have it, it gives us a chance to win, but they need to not have it anyway. So it's very possible we lose regardless, but I think if there is a way for us to win, this is the only path we can take to get there. Have another land, which is unfortunate. I grabbed 2 more lands. That is more than enough damage. Great game by our opponent. Definitely some disappointing top decks with the Tifa. Not pleased with our early draws at all. But I think keeping was the right decision. I think I'm happy to have kept that hand. I think we should win more games than we lose keeping hands like that. And while an unfortunate game 2, we still have plenty of time to reach our goal, and we'll go ahead and get right into game 3. Here we are getting into game number 3 with an interesting hand, to say the least. We've seen our one of a Scavenging Ooze quite a lot, actually. I think I'm happy to keep this, just because at the very least we have things to do. I think there are better hands to find, but I think we have time to find better top decks for ourselves. I suppose we can Llanowar Elves here, no problem. Hold up, defend the Rider for the Chocobo. Being able to defend the Rider away, a Shelter by Ghost steal is probably decent. Interesting, okay. I believe there's an infinite combo with this. What, with whenever someone gets a counter, you gain a life or something like that? Okay. Well, Terramorphic Expanse is great. We will go ahead and drop that as our land. Actually, we'll be happy to swing in with the Chocobo. If they block with Amalia, we can crack it. If not, we just crack it for the extra damage. Grab our white mana, and the Shelter by Ghost will be great. And the Scavenging Ooze is going to be great for that Raise the Past as well. If we're ever able to kill some of those creatures, be able to keep them from being recovered from the graveyard. Always love to be able to have interaction. Again, very happy with the Shelter by Ghosts. I'm always disappointed when I can't get the interaction that I like. I'm never typically an aggro player. Playing this has definitely been a new experience for myself, but it's been an enjoyable learning experience too, for sure. Okay, now we have a couple options here. We can Shelter by Ghosts to get rid of Amalia, or we could Shelter by Ghosts to get rid of the Innocence, remove some of that card advantage, but they're going to have a Dark Confidant coming in as well, and those stacking together I think is going to be really tough. Amalia potentially is a threat, but with Shelter by Ghosts, bar some kind of infinite combo, I'm not very scared of Amalia. Again, I'd be interested to see. I don't know if there's a card in Standard that allows that combo to go off. Something like whenever you put a counter on a creature, gain a life or something. But I don't think that exists, and so I think I'm going to Shelter by Ghosts away the Innocence. It's the only real way I'm going to be able to answer that, and I think that card advantage is going to be really good. And I'd love to play Bristly Bill, but without a land, he's not very useful. He's just a vanilla 2/2. I think Defend the Rider is much more useful. And I suppose there's not much to do except wait and see. Play Dark Confidant, they'll give them 2 more triggers on Amalia. It's unfortunate card draw for them. Much rather see the counters on Amalia than the draw of the lands. But Fabled Passage is honestly a great card to see. Gives us 2 land drops with Bristly Bill. Chocobo's going to get 2 on their own. I suppose we do need to give both to it so that it can't be chump blocked by all of them. Although I actually don't hate the idea of them trying to trade and then just defend the Rider by itself. So I guess we'll just make Bristly Bill a little bit of a bigger blocker. We have to defend the Rider to make the Chocobo indestructible. So perhaps we can get our opponent to make a misplay with the lack of that information. Also spreads the love a little bit. We should be able to force them to block something next turn. A lot of card advantage out of that Confidant. It's unfortunately 3 Amalia triggers every time a creature enters. Definitely tough. Okay. I'm gonna not land off on the top. Defend the Rider actually, fortunately, can protect us against the Commando. Okay, let's just wait and see. We could build to double the Chocobo, but I think 3 Defend the Riders is honestly so much more funny to have available to us, and probably honestly objectively better as well. I suppose, yeah, because we want to have Defend the Rider to protect this Shelter by Ghost, but I suppose if we swing in the Chocobo, they have to block with something, and we can Bristly Bill to get rid of whatever they... If they block with Amalia, we can clear Amalia. That's a big threat, I think, for them. I think swinging with the Chocobo is the right play. Obviously, if they choose not to block, they lose. And if they just jump with the Gorehound, we just give ourselves a little bit of life. Don't have to worry about anything. And I'm very happy to have Defend the Rider available for that Cathar Commando. Even can Scavenging Ooze away that Gorehound. Actually start to get us some value back. Curious as to what our opponent will choose to do. Okay. Just not to swing. Okay, interesting. I definitely will take the Gorehound out of the graveyard. And there's not much else to grab, but with that great Fabled Passage, I think we're in the position we can force them to chump block away some of the more important creatures. We are going to put a counter on the Ooze. Try and make Bill and the Ooze both a little bit scarier. We'll put a counter on Bill as well. And we can double and hold up Defend the Rider, which I feel very, very strongly about. The best choice is to swing with all of these guys. I don't think they have a way to win. Sure. Flashing the Commando. And some more life gain triggers. Not super scared of the cleric either, I don't think. I think we have a pretty high life total. We only need to get them down to 2 life to win, because Dark Confidant is going to grab that cleric off the top. I'll see who they block with. That makes sense to me. With Bristly Bill, yeah, we can double, get in for 8. Unfortunately, not quite enough. But I will double the number of counters. Let them sack the Cathartic Mana, and we will gladly defend the Rider to protect it. Does leave us a little bit vulnerable. But we get in for so much damage. Definitely is unfortunate. I don't think that was the right choice. No. Maybe just the Chocobo was the right call to swing in. Then we didn't need to double. Honestly, maybe shouldn't have even doubled with Bill regardless. Yeah, I think that was definitely a misplay. I think I got a little bit greedy. I don't think that was the right choice at all. Definitely should have just swung with the Chocobo again. Been patient, waited another turn. Found something else. Okay. Roger, I'll see what they find. Well, they do get 2 more mana available for another creature potentially. Gives them a pretty decent life total. Interesting. I suppose I just want to get more triggers going. But I don't know... Oh, wow, okay. I don't think that game was over whatsoever. Very interesting surrender by our opponent. I don't know why they chose to do that. I don't think we would have won the next turn. I think we definitely misplayed with that Chocobo swing. But I will not complain about a victory. And we will go ahead and continue on with the climb. Alright, here we are on the play again. Not a hand I think I'm happy to keep. I mean, obviously, Shelter by Ghosting on the Elves is kind of funny. But it's really only aggro that this hand does anything against. Being able to find Worldsoul's Rage is decent too, but we have no threats at all. I think this is a bottom. That is such a crazy hand. Again, I think we have to go to 5 again. And here I think we can send away one of these lands and maybe the Tifa Lockhart. Definitely not excited about this hand at all. I really don't know how to feel about this. That sucks. I know how to feel about that, and that is frustrating. That blows, but not the end of the world. Really depend. I mean, looks like we might be playing against some kind of Jeskai control, which there's no way I think we ever recover. No reason to play into the counterspell. Just say go. And they already have so much card advantage on us early in the game. Yeah, I don't think we ever win this game, but we will stick it out. Again, I have no interest in playing directly into the counterspell. But I suppose with the second one, we can let them counter this one. It doesn't let them do a Consult the Star Charts. And then we can try and greed for value with the Fabled Passage. I think that's all we can try and do, is try and play some kind of a threat every turn. But again, that doesn't really work when they have more cards than we do. Yeah, now they can hold up a hard counterspell. Suppose I will try to play the Scavenging Ooze, see if they'll let that go through. That's honestly unfortunate that it does, but it's okay. That's okay with me too, I think. Really getting rid of any removal we can is great. If we can ever stick this Mossborn Hydra... Yeah, I mean, they always have the mana. Just have to keep passing and waiting. One of these turns they'll tap out, or they will reach a point where they can card draw and counterspell, and I think that's where they're at. Try a little Chocobo and see if we can't burn some of those cards. Doubtful as it may be. Yeah, I suppose we can... I suppose we need to wait on this Fabled Passage. I don't want to... Yeah, I mean, they can play whatever card draw piece they want and hold up hard counterspell now on their turn. Just, I find it unlikely that we recover from that. Sure. I mean, again, we just have to hope they run out of gas. They're not going to. Yeah, and this is a frustrating game. Having to go to 5 against our worst matchup and is just unbelievably frustrating. And we just got Jeskai Revelation, which is so crazy, actually. Card is so much fun. I played Jeskai Control when right when Tarkir came out, and it was a really fun climb in Standard. But yeah, I don't think. I guess we'll wait and see. I mean, I guess we play it, right? Either they have the counterspell or they don't. Yeah. I think that's gonna be the game. We're never coming back from that. We're never stabilizing. That's a super frustrating game 4. Puts us back where we started. And with full transparency, that game has put me on a little bit of tilt. So I'm gonna step away for a few minutes and come right back, and we will get on game 5 and hopefully, with a better mentality, continue on with the climb. Hello everybody, I am back for game number 5, what is probably going to be the last game of the day, unfortunately with a bit of our longer games, but took a much needed break, get back into the climb, and hopefully with this turn 2 Mossborn Hydra we'll recover from being on the draw. Unless of course we are playing against another Azorius control deck. I suppose the right choice is to Mossborn Hydra here, so they can't play the card advantage spell. So yeah, if they want to draw cards, they need to do that turn 3, take off, and then we can play our Mossborn Hydra. Obviously, I have the second in the back. I mean, I still don't love it at all, but it's okay. Control matchups are tough. I think, honestly, the biggest issue that I have with the control matchups are just that they take so long. You know, if I lose to an aggro matchup, It's not the end of the world, because it only takes up 5 minutes of my time. I can always just get back and play more games. Issue with the control matchups is, I mean, this is only game number 5, and it's going to be all we have time for. Yesterday, we got through 10 games. So, well, definitely unfortunate. Again, not the end of the world. Here we will go ahead and we'll just grab a red mana. Actually, very pleased for them to spend their turn on Day of Judgment. I think that works out really well for us. I mean, of course, unless they just have more board wipes in the back pocket. But at least getting to stick a Mossborn Hydra around is great. And then board wiping for the mana dorks is, I think, a net positive for us. Well, I suppose I will just try and enter combat. See how much damage they'll let me get away with. Okay, that's very interesting. Interesting they didn't choose to kick her. I suppose they're looking for a kill spell for the Hydra, which makes sense. With the idea that they might not have it, I think I'm going to try for the Chocobo. Because then if they don't have the kill spell, we sneak out a win. Would definitely be the last little bit of luck we could use. And we get a very, very fortunate turn 4 win against the control. Unfortunately, we did not make the most amount of progress today. Well, today was definitely a disappointing day. We only were able to get through 5 games with a mere 3-2 record, only getting us 1 pip above where we started. However, we are just 1 win away from reaching Diamond Tier 4, and so if we can start off tomorrow with a win, whatever losses we make will never be able to bring us back down into Platinum. We're very close to reaching that bubble that gives us a little bit of protection, and there's nothing we can do but keep a good attitude, come back tomorrow, and try and win some games of Magic.